if you are comfortable with being on video, that's great. If not, you're welcome to turn your camera off. And I want to offer also the option, if you have any questions that you don't maybe want asked out loud or with your business name attached to them, you're welcome to chat me privately here, and I'm happy to ask that question out loud myself and then answer it for you. We want this forum to be very open and for people to be able to share, but sometimes there's sensitive questions that you don't necessarily want the whole world to know about, especially since we're recording. So I want you to have that option. You can also text me or email me. I am here at my computer. So I hope everyone had a fantastic Father's Day weekend. It was great. Good. It feels like it was a year ago to me, because yesterday and today we're so busy. Some days are like that. I'll tell you just from my what's happening with me is we are experiencing a small family emergency where an elderly member of my family fell and broke a hip and had to go into the hospital. And it is a whole different world to be in a hospital with an elderly person during a pandemic. It is, I don't recommend it, is what I'll say. So we've got everybody stable and they're well taken care of. And I think things are going to work out. So that's good. But if you can, stay away from hospitals and broken bones for the next 6 months. I highly recommend it. So let's talk. We're going to talk about 4 things today. We're going to talk about some small business stats. We're going to talk about a mask wearing promotional spot that was put together by the task force and show that. We're going to talk about the EIDL loan program, and we're going to talk about the Travis County grants. So let's start at the top there. These are just a couple of stats that I got, and I will link these in the notes that I produce. So I produce a Google document also that has the notes from all the meetings, and I'll send you a copy of that, anyone who is registered here. So I'll send you a copy of it. So I'll link this in the notes. But this is an organization called Small Business for America's Future that does some really interesting work at the national level, supporting policies that are going to, help small businesses at all levels. And I wanted to share these because one thing that happens within our community is you can see somebody else seeming to be doing really well, even though this is a really challenging time, and kind of wonder what it is that's happening. And we know that we're not alone in this, but these just helped me to understand just kind of the breadth of the situation that we're in. So nearly a quarter of small business owners, 23% right now, are thinking about possibly closing. So we are here to support you. If that, of course, is the decision that you have to make for your business, we hope that it's not. We're here to support you in that and can help you connect with people if you need an exit strategy, or if you maybe even need to pause for a little while and come back. Just wanted to put that out there. So 23% is a high number in terms of all of our businesses, but it is lower now than it was at the beginning of the pandemic. So it seems like people have pulled back a little bit from that and have found some ways to mitigate the issues that are happening and be able to stay in business there. We're going to talk about the EIDL loan program in just a minute. 53% of businesses have taken on new debt. That is probably the PPP program and the EIDL loan program and just traditional bank loans that people are taking. That is really not a terribly surprising number. 3 in 10, so about 30% of businesses are dipping into their personal savings in order to finance their reopening plans. So one of the, of course, and I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but one of the really challenging things about this is small business experienced this wild drop in revenue, just boom, out of nowhere. No one was ready for this. And we also experienced it about a month earlier than the rest of the country with the cancellation of South by Southwest. So a whole bunch of people really depend on that income. And so that went away first. And then we're in this extended pandemic. So no one had any time to plan. So there is some of that dipping into your personal finances. We did a webinar about a month ago now, I guess, or 3 weeks ago, with a member of ours who is a personal financial planner, talking about some of the ways that so the CARES Act, which is giving funding to small business in a lot of ways and helping individuals, they also relax some of the rules about using retirement accounts and what you can do, how you can pull money out and have it not be penalized in taxes in the same way, knowing that people would be doing that. So anybody that's interested in looking over that information or needing contact information for Silas was the amazing member who did that for us. Please reach out to me, and I'll go ahead and link that in the notes to make a note to link Silas in there. So that's another one. And then the kind of closing point of this article is that small business owners are doing their part. So you're requiring masks for people, you're keeping your employees safe, you're keeping everybody distance, you're doing 25% when they say 25%. So we as a community, we're doing our part, and it's time now for the rest of the world to do their part. So it's time for the consumers to come back in whatever way that they feel safe, if it's curbside pickup, if it's, you know, delivery or whatever it is. And it's time for the government at all levels to, let's do it, right? Like, it's time, we've waited long enough. So let's switch from there and talk real quickly about the EIDL loan program. That's EIDL, and it's the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan. There were two big pockets of money that were originally available at the beginning of the pandemic, one being the PPP program that I think everyone here is familiar with, that allowed you to pay payroll and rent and was forgivable if it wasn't. And that was a new program just created for this situation. The EIDL loan program is an existing Small Business Administration loan program, not new for the pandemic. It's often used for natural disasters, hurricanes, fires, et cetera. And when the pandemic was declared, as different areas were declared natural disasters, you know, this is a natural disaster, the EIDL program was open for people. So it was open for a little while. It is a loan. It's not forgivable in the way that the PPP is, but it is a 30-year loan with an incredibly low percentage interest rate, excuse me. And it does come with a advance at the beginning that is dependent on some questions about your business, but up to $10,000 of an advance. And that advance is a grant. So you apply for an EIDL loan, you fill out the paperwork. It's very, very simple. We've stepped through the process, so we can tell you that. It's not nearly as complicated as the PPP loan. It's designed to be quick funding, like as fast as you can get it, because it's an emergency. If you imagine there's a hurricane and the whole city's underwater and you need to, you know, pay your rent or whatever. So it's arranged for that. So the EIDL loan program came out. A whole bunch of people applied for it, especially because of this advance, and they closed it down and made it only available for agricultural people. So it is recently, as of last week, reopened for businesses of all types. So if you're thinking about doing a loan and for whatever reason the PPP is not applicable to your business because you use contractors and not employees, or because rent is not a big problem for you, or payroll is not your big issue, the EIDL loan program is another way to get quick funding. Again, for the 30-year term, I think it's 2.5 or 2.75% interest. So much lower than you're going to be able to get at a bank. And it does have a 1-year payment deferral as well. So you could always take the full amount of money that they offer you. If you end up not needing it, pay it back. It's just a great way to get quick access to cash. And so I want people to know that that's open again. It was closed for a while when people were trying to apply for it. Well, I'm talking really fast. Let me pause here for a second and see if anybody has any questions either about those stats that we talked about, or like, how do they make you feel? Are you tired of hearing stats about small business? That could be it too. Or any questions about the EIDL loan program?
It's all good information. There's things that I need to pass on. So.
It is. Yeah, it is. So I forgot I also want to talk about that while we're here. Pardon me, making notes as we go. Yeah, it is good information. Okay, so we'll move on from the EIDL loans. So the next thing that I wanted to show you, and this is going to be cool. It's going to be an AV presentation, right? So AIBA, along with 105, I think, or 115 other business owners and business leaders in the Austin community, are serving on what's called the Reopening Central Texas Task Force, which was created by Judge Eckhart and Mayor Adler months ago. And the idea is really that the task force is providing to the government as they're developing programs to help, like, yes, that's fantastic, but here's what we really need, or that's an amazing program, here's how that's going to work within the community that I represent. So it's a great opportunity to create this feedback loop. It's keeping the responses that are coming from these larger organizations really real and really grounded. So I think that's really positive. It's making sure that there is representation. So if there's a community that whatever it is that's happening, the information is not getting to them, it's a way to note that and make sure that we do correct those things. So one thing that is coming out of that is this campaign that is related to Austin businesses and how hard we as a community are working to get back on our feet. And that one thing that the public can do to help with this is to wear a mask. So we now have this mask requirement, where before it was, as a business owner, you could say, I want you to wear a mask, and you kind of had to hold that line yourself. Now the city is requiring that you wear a mask to be in a place of business. It does put the onus on the business owner, which is a little tricky because y'all are so busy right now. You're doing everything already. And to also ask you to police mask wearing can be very tricky. The positive side of that, what it gives you is something to fall back on. So when someone tries to come in, instead of saying, this is my business and I want you to wear a mask, it's the city that you have to. It's not an option. You don't have to fight with me about it. You can call the mayor if you don't want to wear a mask. Like, it's no longer your personal decision that you're having to defend. So that's a positive thing. So what came out of this is this little ad campaign, this promotional ad campaign, and it is a print campaign that you're going to be seeing around banners, websites, on social media, billboards, etc. And then there is also a little video, a little PSA that comes with it that I'm going to share here. And I'll also share the website on the document.
As we open up businesses and begin rebuilding dreams here in Austin, let's also open up a new day of listening and mutual respect. That while we are all different, there is an us in Austin. And today, our local business owners, our hospitals, and our neighbors need us to wear a mask. A mask on each of us is a win for all of us. Let's be that city of us.
So that is the video ad that's coming out about it. As you can see here on my screen, again, I'll link this when we come through. This is the Austin Chamber are the moderators of the task force. So they're willing to host this on their site. So this is about being a city of us. Here's a little bit of the digital playbook stuff that is showing here. This is all available if you want to take it, if you want to share it on your business pages. They also have some resources that the task force came up with that are listed here. So this is a great resource. And again, I'll link this through on the notes. Information a little bit more about the task force. And if you wanted to, we talked about the initial recommendations a couple of weeks ago when this first came out, but they are there too if you want to read those. So that's available for download and for sharing. And just to know that there's this large group of people kind of as we go forward into the new mask world, there's this large group of people that are doing everything we can to shift the tide of public opinion to understanding how important masks are so that we can hopefully move away from any business owner having to have those conversations. We want it to just be like, of course you're doing it, right? Of course you're doing it because it's what we're doing. It's what everyone's doing. This is what we're doing in Austin to keep ourselves safe, keep our high-risk population safe, everything like that. So any questions about that? Comments? Do you love it? Do you hate it? It was designed by Roy Pruitt, who I guess I can't remember if he said he was sitting in traffic. He was sitting somewhere and he saw the word Austin and he was like, wait, how have I never seen the word us in the middle of it? That's crazy.
I really like it. I think it's really a good.
I think it's a really good message to have out there. It is, it's focused on those two things. It's focused on getting people to wear masks if they can, so that it's just one less kind of fight that these small business owners are having to do. And it's also wanting the public to know how hard we're working to come back. We talk all the time about how people spend their money right now. Those are the businesses that are going to be around when it's all over. So if you spend all your money at a big box store, all you're going to have is big box stores when we're done. If you spend your money at local businesses, you're going to have local businesses around when we're finally able to fully come back. So
I think especially since, like, for a lot of folks, the mask wearing has been such a like politically charged topic, and a lot of folks see it as a real division. I think it's important to underline that mask wearing is really not about us and them. It's really about us, and it's a key point.
right, yeah, there is no them.
It's not like, oh, those people wear masks. It's like we need to all wear masks for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah, I thought it's a really good message, and I thought it was well done. So hopefully it'll get out there and we can get, all the hip kids to be wearing masks, and then it just is going to go from there, right? If we can get the under 20s to do it, everybody's going to want to do it after that. So I'm hopeful for that, and you'll see that coming out. So its final version went live yesterday. So you should see it a lot more, and hoping that it kind of helps to, the ultimate goal is that it shifts the tide of mask wearing and other kind of safety behaviors. And in doing that, it reduces the number of cases we have, reduces the number of hospitalizations, reduces the number of deaths, which is amazing because we're humans and we care about other humans. But all of that also means that people can then feel more comfortable leaving their houses, right? They can't leave their house. They're having a hard time spending their money locally. So if we can, as a community, get it down, then we can go out safely, and we can use some of the programs that we're talking about to continue to have a vibrant local economy safely. But while things are just running rampant and hospitalizations are going through the roof and numbers are going through the roof, it's very difficult to say to a consumer, can you also come out and go shopping, even if you're doing it really safely. So I want to mention, we talked about this last time, but a different group was here. I want to mention the Shop the Block program again. So that is, we know that the business owners in the community are getting creative and doing all that they can do. So we have heard from people who are, people who had zero delivery service at all or curbside, and have just shifted everything and are now have this robust situation going with curbside service. And then people who are doing like concierge shopping when they have small shops. So instead of having someone come in and maybe browse around, that they could call in or even do a video call, and I can show you what I have here. You can look as you're picking out, a toy for your grandchild's birthday party. You can look at it, pull up and pick it up. So business owners are being creative. And so the city and the city leaders, Leslie Poole in particular was a sponsor of this bill, created a program called the Shop the Block program. And what that allows is, it is a pilot program that's a fast track permitting program that lets a business use the space outside of their location. So if I have a retail shop, or if I have a restaurant, or if I have a cocktail lounge, or I'm selling food or drink in some way, that usually to get permission to use the space in my parking lot or in the public parking spaces in front of me or the sidewalk in front of my building, it's a long, fairly involved process. That's what it was. And so this Shop the Block program expedites that, and it reduces the fees to very, very, very low. I think it's $100 for the application, and then renews every 6 months. So it lets you use the space outside, use your parking lot, use your sidewalk, even use the parking spots, the city parking spots in front of your building, so that you can welcome more customers in and still keep them distant, right? And also so that you can have people who are only comfortable at this point being outside, that they don't want to be inside and be in recycled air, be able to interact with you outside in a safe way. So that's the Shop the Block program. It also allows for really expedited street closure permits. So if you were in a little neighborhood and you wanted to do a street closure thing with some neighbor businesses of yours, or maybe in a strip mall, very, very quick permitting for that too. So really hoping to get people outside if possible, but wanting to give businesses the ability to expand as we think about social distancing is going to stay with us for a long time, right? So we're getting people to wear masks with our ad campaign, and then we're getting them to stay separated from one another with the programs like the Shop the Block. That's going to put us back on the, on the horizon anyway, that we have some positive revenue numbers coming in. So if you have any questions about Shop the Block, I'll also link that in the notes that come through. I haven't yet heard back from, I know that they are receiving applications. I wish that I, could say who has applied for it and did it work for you and what does it look like at your location? Like, can you show it to us so we can see, so we can just get an idea of, did you just put folding tables out front, or how have you kind of merchandised out front, or how have you, as a restaurant, I know food heads there, how have you, what does it look like when you're doing it? What does it look like for food service? What does it look like for cocktail? What does it look like for retail? I expect that the program itself will share some of that stuff with us over the next couple of weeks as they have it. So they're just kind of, tooting their own horn there, but I haven't quite seen it yet. As soon as I see it, though, I'll definitely share it just for ideas about how to do things. So one last thing I want to mention, we do support businesses in the Austin and the surrounding areas. There are the CARES funding that came through the last round of it is grant funding is included in it for both businesses in Travis County and businesses in the city of Austin. The City of Austin program is still under development. We're working with the departments that are developing it. They're, everything is moving a little slower than we want it to. Of course, we would like it to move much faster, but they are doing a very careful job, in my opinion, of trying to make sure that the funding, the grant funding that is coming in that program is going to go to the people it was intended for. So they're very cognizant of what happened with the PPP loan program, where it was intended for small business, but the way the requirements were written, it kind of got gobbled up by not necessarily small business. So they're trying to design a program that achieves those goals, and it's really, really challenging. I mean, I don't have to tell you how hard that must be, but so I don't have details on it yet. As soon as I get them, please sign up on our members only Facebook group. For you guys that are members, it's going to go there. That's a great way for me to be able to communicate with people. The Travis County grant program, is the same bucket of funding. Travis County's launched last week. And so if your business address is outside the Austin city limits, but within Travis County, that loan application program is open and available. And it's worth looking at, even if you are in the city of Austin, it's worth going to look at. Again, I'll link it in the notes, because it's a program that was just developed with the same funding that we're talking about for a similar, number of businesses. It's aimed at a similar population. I imagine that the Austin grant program is going to look similar to that program, both in terms of how they did the pre-application. So it's a pre-application, and then they're seeing if you're eligible in the pre-application, and then they're going to invite you to apply for the actual grant after the pre-application ends. They have a lot of great information out there about what documents you should go ahead and pull together for their loan program. Again, that's for Travis County. Austin's going to be different, but if you want to get ahead of the game and just know what maybe it's going to look like, that's a really good source.
Are these loans or grants? You said
these are grants.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the EIDL loan program, that was a loan that we were talking about. And these two things, the Travis County one is called Thrive. And it's an acronym that I can't remember what all it stands for, but it's called the Thrive program. And I'll link that in the notes for you, Candy, so you can find it. And it is being administered by BCL, which is an amazing, they're also a member organization of AIBA, and they do lots and lots of work with small and local businesses, and really do a good job of being excellent advocates and financial educators for small business. So I'm thrilled that they're the people who are producing, they're managing it for Travis County. I think it'll be really good for them. So I'll link that through. And then I wish that I could say, I mean, for lots of reasons, I wish I could say this is the date that the grant program is going to go live, and this is the date that we're going to be funding grants to people. We don't have that information yet, but I have it, on good authority that there are hundreds of worker bees at the city just trying to figure out every last detail so that it's a really smooth rollout that makes sense for the people of the city. Okay, so that was a lot of talking. And oh my gosh, it's 1 minute until I got it all in. That's impressive. I got it all in. So yeah, I'll just open it up. Like, are there any questions? Yvette, I feel like I didn't necessarily address your industry very much. I wonder, you could share or not share, I don't know how many kids are with you right now, but if there's anything specific to what's going on with you that maybe you need help with, or put it in the chat, or respond to my email. I have.
No, you actually.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I've had you on mute because yes, I do have kids here running around, so I don't have the video on either.
That's what I get it.
So yeah, really, we're just looking for grants, and mainly it's for payroll and for just keeping, our online classes going.
Right.
It's definitely decreased. So really it's for grants, and hopefully you answered some of my questions. Hopefully we can apply for some when that opens up.
Okay, good. Yeah, we'll keep you just as informed as we possibly can. I would encourage you also to look at that EIDL loan program. I mean, I would encourage everyone to look at it. It was, when you click through the application, you can apply. I mean, you could apply in the time it takes you to make a snack for someone. Like, it's so fast. It was so easy. And then if you do end up in there, it can be a small grant. It's based on the number of employees that you have. So if you have up to 10 employees, it's $1,000 per employee for that advance. That turns out that you don't have to repay it. That turns into a grant.
Okay.
So it could be up to $10,000 if you have up to 10 employees. And that comes very quickly. After you apply for it, the advance comes very quickly, as does the loan information. Take it or not take it. And the whole process is pretty streamlined, again, because it was a program that existed before. So they know what they're doing. It's not brand new. But it is a way to get a little cash infusion, and that advance stays with you whether you take the loan or don't take the loan. So you apply for it, you can get the advance, and then you decide, you know what, I'm not interested in taking on $100,000 in debt, even if I do have 30 years to pay it off. And you can decline the loan and you still get to keep the advance.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
it operates like a little tiny grant. And so you can get $1,000 even if you don't have any employees on the books. So that's kind of the minimum, is $1,000, which is not that helpful, I know, in a business budget.
Anything helps at this point.
Yeah, any little bit helps, right? I am looking just constantly for other grant programs that are applicable to small business. Ben, I'm not going to exclude you, but I'm going to talk to the women for just a minute. There are a couple of grant programs that I'll link in the notes here that are exclusively for women-owned businesses. And so they're smaller grants, but the grant application process, and again, I haven't clicked through those because I wasn't able to, but I'll go ahead and link them. The application process doesn't seem too intensive, so it's another way to get maybe a little bit of cash infusion. And then, yeah, I think that's it. I want to respect everyone's time. It's about 3 minutes after 10. Thanks for sticking with me this morning. I'll go ahead and produce these notes and upload the video so we can share it with everybody. I'll put all the links in there. My email address, of course, my cell phone number are in there. If you need anything at all, I'm here for you. I won't have all the answers. I said to some reporter last week or 2 weeks ago when the protests were in heavy rotation in Austin, that there's not a playbook for how to run a small business during a pandemic when there's protesters filling the streets. Like, no one knows how to do this. We don't know what we're doing. No one knows how to do this. We've never done this before. So I hope you can grant yourselves grace that it's okay, that no one around you knows what they're doing either, but we're all going to figure it out together. And we're here to help you with that however we can. So, thank you so much for coming today. It was great to see you again, Candy. Ben, I'm sorry we didn't just get to see you, but it's always wonderful to hear your voice. And Yvette, I'm so happy that you joined. And again, if y'all have any questions about anything that I said, email me, call me. We're here for you. Thank you, Seed, for
Thank
covering
you.
for me this morning
Okay.
too.
Thanks, Dixie. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks to all
everybody.
of you.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.